Hey everyone, I am so honored and privileged that Justin Manzey has joined us today. Now, Justin and his wife were family friends for many, many years. And around the same time I started my weight loss journey, I believe Justin did as well, and he lost 70 pounds. Now, Justin came from a place of brokenness, raised by broken parents, who between them had 8 marriages. His biological father died a homeless man addicted to drugs. And Justin learned at an early age that broken people break people, and hurting people hurt people. Justin had the revelation that restored people, and empowered people, empowered people. Did you get that, folks? I'll say that again, because this is really awesome. Restored people, restore people, and empowered people, empower people. Now, welcome, Justin. I'm so happy that you're with us.
Yes, good to be here.
And I love Justin's passion to see people set free. And I've seen living proof of people all around the world that Justin's input in their lives has made a difference. And I'm even speaking for myself. So today, Justin's going to talk about purpose and intention. Very, very powerful. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is for purpose and intention. Let me just say it this way. Good intentions don't bring about change. So you have to be intentional about making a plan of how am I going to go forward. Mm-hmm. But most often people are stuck. And to be unstuck is, well, where am I stuck?
Yeah.
Well, every person, if you feel stuck, you're going to be stuck either in your head, your heart, or your hands.
Right.
And if you're stuck in your head, it's just maybe you have wrong knowledge or bad knowledge. And so therefore, the knowledge that you have gained is keeping you stuck. A lot of times, the biggest area is people feel stuck emotionally because of experiences that have happened to them in their past. They feel like they cannot overcome because their past is still determining what their present and future is going to be.
Right.
So they feel stuck emotionally based on those experiences, or they feel stuck in their hands. And this means simply that they feel stuck with, I don't have the skills, I don't have the application, or I don't have the processes. So often to have purpose and intention, say, okay, what knowledge do I need? What experiences do I need? And what skills or actions do I need to overcome this?
Right.
And so when we talk about purpose, purpose is simply the motivating factor.
Right.
So whatever your purpose is, you have to have a good motivating factor. In other words, to bring change, you can't do it for anybody else except yourself.
Right.
You have to be able to say, I'm motivated to change my health or my education or my experiences because I want to experience transformation. You can't do it for a spouse. You can't do it for a friend. You have to do it for yourself. And so when we talk about purpose and intention, it's like I have to be intentional about changing some internal things before I see the external change.
Right.
Because if you just change the external change, you're just modifying your behavior, and that will only last 2 to 4 weeks. And then you'll just acquiesce right back to the same rhythms and patterns you've been in.
Right.
So it's really saying, what's my motive and what is my intentions to change the way I think, the way I feel, and the way I act.
Right.
And really that's the area we're focusing on, because transformation, as I already just said, is more internal than it is external.
Yeah.
If you can change the internal parts, the way you think, it then begins to change the way you perceive things. And perception is your reality, even if it's deception. So whatever you perceive becomes your reality, even if it's deception.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people operate with blind spots, or our self-awareness is not there. It's because our perception actually becomes our reality, even if it's deception.
Yeah, we get stuck believing our own lies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and those lies, for many of us, become such a reality to us that no matter what someone tells us, it's our reality. And so we don't like it when that gets challenged, right?
Totally. And let me give you an example of, and this is a real example that so many people go through. And I'll use two of them because these are the two people feel like. But somebody comes up to you and says, "You're stupid." And automatically you hear that and you go, "Wow, that person said I was stupid." Then you do something and you felt stupid doing it. And then all of a sudden you said, "I heard that. I now felt stupid. Therefore, I am stupid."
Right.
And so therefore you then, doesn't matter what happens, you could have, graduate from high school or even university with A roll, the AB honor roll, but still there's this, in the back of your mind, this digital plane happening. It's like, I'm stupid. I feel stupid. I am stupid. And that also goes to the area of failure. I'm a failure. Somebody told me I'm a failure. I did something. I failed. Therefore, I feel like a failure now. And look at what I did. There's action steps, or there's action right there that I did fail. So therefore, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And what happens if you don't change that, every time you're about to move into something where you're going to succeed, you will probably, without even realizing it, self-sabotage yourself, because you say, I can't succeed. I cannot be successful.
Yeah.
I'm a failure. I'm stupid. And that, it really plays against your transformational piece that has to happen in the way I think, the way I feel, and the way I act.
Yeah. And so many of us, this goes back to our childhood. I remember teachers telling me, "You're not going to amount to anything."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was even told, "Oh, you'll get into heaven by the skin of your teeth."
Well,
right?
And here's something, Daryl, that happened to me, as you introduced, growing up with broken parents and, broken brothers and sisters. I was told that as a little boy that I was unlovable and that I was not wanted. So all of a sudden you say, I'm not lovable and I'm not valuable.
Right.
And all of a sudden what happens is everything you do, it doesn't matter how successful you can be. Growing up, I was on the AB honor roll. I was a first degree black belt. I was the captain of the wrestling team. But still in the back of my mind is I'm not valuable. I'm not lovable. Because those imprints that we receive, and they say that you actually receive those imprints by the time you're born to 5, and
right.
Those are imprints. And if you actually don't intentionally and purposefully change that print, you can be 65, 70 and still be imprinted from those experiences when you were 5 and 6.
Yeah. So
to change those imprints is you actually have to have new thoughts, and the most important is new experiences.
Right.
I have experienced that I am lovable. I experienced that I am valuable. But it has to be not something you just tell yourself. It has to be experiential.
Right.
Because experiential pieces actually bring a new imprint on you. And so even in the journey of transformation, even with weight loss, it's like I'm fat. I'll always be fat. I'm fat. So what you're doing is you're labeling my identity. I'm stupid. I will always be stupid. I'm unlovable. I'll always be unlovable. And people could even love you and all those things, but you won't receive it because you've already identified yourself to that.
Right.
And what's beautiful, in one of the areas of weight loss is if you do lose the weight, you can look in the mirror and go, you have lost weight.
That's true.
You
visual.
actually don't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't have to feel like that anymore.
Yeah.
But there are people and that may be watching that you might even lose the weight, but you still see a fat person in the mirror.
Oh, absolutely. People who have extreme weight loss or quick weight loss, a lot of times they have what's called fat brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's really no different than someone who's bulimic looks in the mirror and they see themselves fat.
Absolutely.
It's in here. It's not a physical representation at all, right?
And that's a good point, because that also goes with the same other aspects of being healthy in the sense of internally, the way that you think, the way that you feel, and the way that you act. So right now you're wearing glasses. And so if I was to paint your glasses blue, I mean, you could still see through it, but there were blue lenses. Mm-hmm. Everything you see is blue. And even if I show you something yellow, you'll say, well, look, it's green. And I'm like, well, no, it's actually not. And I can tell you this is the color it is, but all you will see is everything you see will have that blue lens.
Wow, great analogy.
So I'm actually showing you something very, has a beautiful color, but you say it's blue. And if I say to you, Daryl, it's not blue, you're looking, you're going, don't call me a liar. I know it's blue. I'm looking right at it.
Yeah.
And to you, you're not lying, but that is your perspective, because all you see is blue.
Yeah.
And so until that lens changes, that will be your perspective, and that will be the lens that you see everything in life. So that's what I'm talking about, perspective.
We all need some new glasses.
Absolutely. And that's what transformation really is.
Yeah.
And new glasses is, I'm going to think differently.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel differently, and I'm going to act differently. But you actually have to replace your glasses.
Yeah.
You actually have to say, I'm not going to, wear blue lens glasses. I'm going to actually get clear glasses so I can see with clarity what's happening.
Yeah. Man, so good. Oh my goodness. Now, really, it all starts in here.
Yeah.
Right? Because transformation takes time. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to see it right away. As a matter of fact, when you start the transformation journey in here, your friends and family aren't going to see it right away. You might not even notice it in yourself, but through consistency, it will happen. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I think the challenge with that is, and here's the challenge of sometimes when your loved ones, your family around you, they often, they see you who you've been and who you are.
Yeah.
And this is why really what we're doing right now is so important, because coaches, good coaches, don't see you as you were or even how you are, but they see you as you're going to be.
Yeah.
And so the analogy of that is simply, if you see a slave, you treat people like a slave. If you see a king or a queen, you treat them like a king or a queen. And so if you see somebody that's, well, this is what your past has been, and this is what your present is, so therefore this is what your future is going to look like.
Yeah.
Well, you can be held, you can actually become held to your past.
Yeah.
Without being able to move forward, unless you have somebody that says, I see the potential in you, and I see what you can be. Yeah. I see what you're able to be, and they pull that out of you. That's why people get stuck. They're stuck because of how they've seen themselves in the past, and they say, well, that's how I've always been. This is who I am right now. And often, not always, family sees you in the same way. They see you how you've been.
Yeah.
But what's beautiful about coaches and people that help you, they see you as you're going to be.
Yeah.
So
awesome. It's not just another diet or just another program, right?
No. And that's the thing, and there again, we could get into principles. Their principles are so important with transformation. Mm-hmm. But how you apply those principles may be different for everybody. Right. In other words, everybody wears shoes, but we don't all wear the same size,
right?
And they're not the same style.
Yeah.
But we all wear shoes. So there are principles in transformation that are very valuable, and they include nutrition. They include exercise.
Yeah.
They include sleeping. But this other piece is, I have to think differently so that I can experience differently.
Yeah.
And so those are principles, and principles work universally. Yeah. Gravity works in China just like it works here.
Yeah.
So you jump off a building, and whether you say, well, I don't believe in gravity, I don't believe in this principle of gravity. Well, you have about 5 seconds before you hit the ground, and then you're going to get a revelation that gravity still works.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these principles work, but the problem is, at some cases, is how those principles are applied to one person may need to be applied differently to another person, which is just then method. And so, but it's still the same principles.
Yeah. Very true. So I tell people, find your tribe, find a group of support people, find a coach that you resonate with, because I might not be the best coach for everyone. I know that already.
Yeah.
And that's why I've got so many amazing people on this program, because you might align with one of the other speakers really well. Yeah. And that's that missing piece of the puzzle that you need. Yes. Now, one thing I want to ask, Justin, there's a lot of people who want to make this big, massive change in their life, but they don't trust anyone. They're truly stuck, right? I mean, they could be surrounded by people, but they're super lonely. Yeah. But they could be lovable, but they don't put themselves out there to be loved.
That's exactly right.
What do you say to those people? How do you motivate them to make this step?
It's really hard. That's a really good point, because, if you wear a mask in front of people and they learn to love the mask you wear, but when you go home and take the mask off, you don't feel loved, because they didn't really love you. They loved the mask you were wearing.
Wow. Yeah.
And so you said, all these people loved me, but they loved what I presented, but not who I am. And so the fear of taking the mask off, and this is everybody. If I take that mask off and they really knew who I was, they would reject me. And so the biggest fear is rejection.
Right.
And that's what keeps people isolated and alone, because they feel I don't want to be rejected. And this is a hard one. And so the only thing one can do, it's the old analogy, if you want a friend, you have to first be a friend.
Yeah.
So the biggest giant leap one has to take in that is to take off that mask. And that's the scariest, because now you feel vulnerable. But the second step is go out and accept somebody. Yeah. Instead of waiting to go be rejected, begin to say, you know what? I'm not going to wait to be rejected. I'm going to step out with all the courage I can muster up, and I'm going to go out and accept someone, and I'm going to accept their friendship, or I'm going to accept them and say, you know what? I'm going on a journey, but if you would take that step and say, I'm not going to wait to be rejected, I'm going to step out and accept someone.
Right.
That hurdle right there is huge. But I'm telling you, there are so many people that are waiting to accept you back, but you don't realize that. So you stand in front of them, waiting for them to accept you, not realizing that if you just accept them, you would build that bridge and build a connection, and you could actually help each other. Yeah. And so, but that is, I understand, a huge hurdle, but it's a step one has to take to make that change.
Absolutely. Because we've all got something to give. Absolutely. It's not all about just receiving all the time.
Absolutely.
Yes, hurt people. Yeah. Right. But when you put yourself out there, and hey, it's putting your feelings out there sometimes, and it's being realistic, it's being genuine. Yeah. But there's people that are just on the other side of a blessing that you can give them. And it might be an experience. It might be something that you consider to be small, but for them, it's huge.
Right? One of the things to build on that, and this is something that I have learned, and that is when you encourage somebody, you're giving them courage.
Right.
When you discourage somebody, you're actually taking courage from them.
Right.
So if you want to step out and step into accepting somebody, that step looks like practically go out and encourage them. Give them courage.
Right.
And be careful of the people that you surround yourself that are always discouraging you. But if they do, just know people treat people the way they see themselves. So if they're discouraging you, it's because they feel discouraged.
Right.
So make sure you see it correctly and don't take that personally. Yeah. And I think that is part of that journey of stepping into thinking differently.
Yes.
People are mature in 3 areas. People say, well, how do you measure maturity? You measure it by people's attitude and their actions and reactions to circumstances and by the choices they make. So we have to stop playing the blame game. Well, this happened to me. And I get it. I grew up in a broken home, broken family. But there had to come a time where I had to learn to be a good son to bad fathers.
Wow.
There had to come a time where I had to be a good person to bad people.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to let them determine my future. And so, but that's a choice.
Yeah.
It's not a feeling, because your feelings is, I want to slap them in the head.
Yeah.
They did me wrong. And I want them to feel what they did to me internally. So it's a choice. You did me wrong, but I'm going to do you good.
And the first time that you reach out to try and execute this intention, the result you get back might not be what you expect. And so you could just say, well, forget it. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Absolutely. And that comes to motivation.
Yeah.
I remember when I first began, doing even ministry, and I'm a pastor and I get to travel. But as a young man, because I was so broken and so wounded, I thought, I'm going to start being nicer to people. So I remember opening the doors for people as they go into restaurants and go into places. And I would open the door and I'd say, come on in. And some people would look at me like, I didn't ask for your help. And they'd walk through and I'd be like, can't believe you. I opened the door for you and you can't even say thank you. And I remember doing that a few times. And I kind of had this whispering thought of, what's your motive for doing that? Are you looking for compliments? Are you looking to get your ego stroked? And I had to realize, hey, are you actually trying to be nice to people because you're looking for a reward? Or you just want to be nice because you want to do good?
Yeah.
And so it caused me to say, what are my intentions? What are my intentions of why I'm doing this?
Right.
And we have to realize growth is, I'm willing to encourage you, even if you don't encourage me.
Yeah, that's it.
But I'm encouraged that I get to encourage you.
Yeah, there you go.
and look at it. It's not about, and this, that old saying, I choose not to be a victim. I choose to be victorious.
Yeah.
I choose to be a blessing and not a curse.
Yeah.
I choose to empower people instead of actually taking power from them.
Right.
And really it's really a control issue, a feeling of being out of control and wanting to be in control. And that is all internal.
Right.
So really giving up that control is saying, I actually am going to trust that I'm going to get the right people in the right place in my life. And then I'm going to move forward and not try to walk in perfection, but just walk in taking the small steps I need to take to move forward.
Yeah.
Part of my transformational journey, this is more for the local area, but others will be able to understand it. But one of my goals was to hike up Mount Tom, a local place here. And the first time I did it, as I began my weight loss journey, it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get up this hill. And I had to stop probably every 10 minutes and feel like my heart was going to come out of my chest and I was going to throw up. But I was determined to get to the top. And I thought, hey, I've started this weight loss journey. How come I'm not, up on the top of the mountain? I mean, come on, I've started this transformation. How come I can't do this yet? Well, you know what? It took time.
Yeah.
And I just thought, hey, I'm just going to do a little bit better today. Hey, I'm just going to do a little bit better today. Hey, I'm just going to do a little bit better today.
Yeah.
But that goal of what could I get that down to once I am fully in my transformation? Well, when I had lost my full 70 pounds, my best time going up was 27 minutes.
Wow.
So from an hour and 45 minutes to 27 minutes is a huge thing. Now, I'll be honest. I've lost 70 pounds. I've gained back probably about 15 pounds. And I think everything for me, I have to say, okay, here's my ceiling. Once I get here, I need to readjust and make sure. And so, I'm back doing Mount Tom. Am I at 27 minutes right now? No, I'm doing it right now, and it's taking me 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not at an hour and 45 minutes. So
hey, we're keeping it real, right? I mean, this is real life because it's a journey for the rest of our life, not
that's
just.
Right. And so I think that we have to understand that this is something that is a daily choices.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing to live in this transformation. And my biggest thing has always been when I started this journey is no more excuses.
Right.
No more excuses. And it's funny because I travel a lot pre-COVID, but I'm starting to travel again. In these last few months, I've been traveling again, doing what I do, and everybody wants me to take me to the best restaurants. And they want me to taste these things. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been doing so good for the last 3 years. Sure, I can, have a cheat day and then another cheat day. And then pretty soon I'm like, I think I had a cheat week there with all the traveling.
Yeah, so, true.
Even just a couple of weeks ago, I said, that's it. No more excuses. Because I'd say, well, I'm traveling again. It's so hard when you travel. I'm like, hey, that's the same excuse I used before. And that's where I gained all my weight.
Yeah.
So no more excuses. This is about my health. It's continuing my transformation. So I need to get back on that track and step into that.
Yeah.
And there again, that's my conviction. It can't be somebody else's conviction.
Yeah.
It has to be my conviction.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, we're running out of time here, but this has been absolutely amazing. Folks, we need to be intentional.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's important. That's what happened to me. When my why and my purpose met my values, bang.
Yes.
I met my superpower, and that was it.
Yes.
And I have been intentional ever since then. And guess what? I will continue to be intentional for the rest of our life, because when it comes to losing weight, we're in this battle till the day we die.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not just about weight loss. It's about so much more, right?
Yeah.
It's about our general health, but it's about doing our work up here.
Yeah.
We can get this straight. Everything else is going to line up.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, Justin, thank you so much for your time. Now, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so one of the best ways, go to my website, which is latitudeministries.com. That's a great way. If you're interested in, resources, I'm going to throw some couple tools that I have, and I'll put them up on your page, Daryl.
Okay.
You can download. I have what I call the 5 rules of execution. And why that tool is important is a lot of people have strategies.
Right.
And we're taught how to put together strategies. But without an execution plan, strategy is just information on a piece of paper.
Right.
And paper weight loss is so easy to do.
Yeah, true.
You can write it on a piece of paper, and it's like, here's my paper weight loss journey on paper. Yeah, that's great. But what choices are you going to make, and what execution are you going to actually put into action?
So good.
So without an execution plan, then it's just paper weight loss.
Yeah.
And the second tool that I'll make available is what I call the GROW tool. And the GROW tool is simply, the G stands for what is your goal, and the R stands for what is your reality right now. What is your reality? Let's not somebody else's reality. What is your reality?
Yeah.
And then the O stands for what are your options and obstacles. And the W stands for what are you willing to do and what are you willing not to do.
Right.
And so these two tools can work simultaneously together, and you can use them to actually say, hey, here are my goals, but here is my execution of these goals to move forward. That caused me to think differently, to have new experiences, but action steps that will give me skills to be able to do that.
Yes. That's amazing. So everyone that's watching this, we're going to drop a link in the chat, and you can download those things. Be intentional. Do it. Download them. And just don't download them and say, oh, they're on my computer.
That's right.
No, do it, right?
Yeah.
Do it. Now,
Absolutely.
Someone that's attending the summit is going to get a free gift from Justin.
Yes.
So what will that be, Justin?
You know, for me, I write a lot of devotional books. So the things that I have is I have a couple devotional books. And one of the things that I'm a firm believer in is if you want to be a healthy person internally, then it's not what we construct around us. A lot of times we do need some scaffolding around us.
Right.
But if we don't develop some internal pillars, and my biggest thing is hope. And my definition of hope is something to look forward to. Wow. And so I have a devotional book that I've done that is around what I call the 5 pillars of spiritual transformation. And that is, I'm going to read something and so I can change the way I think, but I'm going to actually journal about it. There's something powerful when you begin to journal, just even thoughts. Now, some of you are going to say, well, I'm not a journaler. Well, you can write down some thoughts.
Right.
And other things that are part of that is, hey, I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to pray about this information. And we call it marinating. You take a piece of meat and you marinate it in something and they become one. Well, when you begin to meditate and murmur, the word meditate means to murmur, you meditate on that. Then you say the last step is, I'm going to actually apply this. So I'll give away one of those books that I've written called The Pillar of Hope. And it's something that I really strongly believe that will help people who want to experience transformation internally as they move forward.
Awesome. And of course, they can order this book on your website, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Anyway.
On my website as well.
Hey, Justin, thank you so much for spending time with us. And I know that you will have enjoyed this as much as I have. I've learned a lot. And let's be intentional, folks. So have a wonderful day.